Good afternoon, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Adampur Air Base in Punjab, hails the courage and determination of India's armed forces. In the address to the nation, Prime Minister Modi calls Operation Sindur the new benchmark against terror, says India will not tolerate any nuclear blackmail, hails credibility of Made in India weapons. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reviews security situation along the western border during a meeting in New Delhi. Defence Secretary, CDS, Navy and Army chiefs attend as normalcy returns to border towns of India. Indian Army eliminates 3 hardcore terrorists during search and destroy Operation Kala in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir. Operation still underway. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the Adampur Air Force Station in Punjab this morning. He was briefed by Air Force personnel and he also interacted with the brave air warriors and soldiers.
भारत माता की भारत माता की भारत माता की भारत माता की
And sharing pictures from his visit on X, Prime Minister termed the visit as very special experience of being with those who epitomize courage, determination and fearlessness. He said India is eternally grateful to the armed forces for everything they do for our nation. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today reviewed the security situation along the western border during a meeting in the South Block, New Delhi. Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, Chief of the Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi, Chief of the Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi, Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh and Vice Chief of the Air Staff Air Marshal Nanmendeshwara Tiwari attended this meeting. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent a strong message against terrorism, emphasizing that Operation Sindur has drawn a new line in the fight against terrorism, setting a new normal. Yes, more.
Minister Narendra Modi reaffirmed India's firm resolve to combat terrorism following the successful execution of Operation Sindur. Addressing the nation on Monday, Prime Minister Modi declared that the operation is not over and it now represents India's standing policy against terror.
आतंकियों ने हमारी बहनों का सिंदूर उजाड़ा था, इसलिए भारत ने आतंक के ये हेडक्वार्टर्स उजाड़ दिए.
Highlighting India's consistent victories over Pakistan on the battlefield, PM Modi emphasized that Operation Sindur has added a new dimension to the nation's military prowess, demonstrating remarkable capability in both desert and mountainous warfare, while also establishing superiority in new age warfare. He also underlined the proven effectiveness of Made in India defense equipment.
युद्ध के मैदान पर हमने हर बार पाकिस्तान को धूल चटाई है और इस बार ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने नया आयाम जोड़ा है. हमने रेगिस्तानों और पहाड़ों में अपनी क्षमता का शानदार प्रदर्शन किया.
The Prime Minister laid out fundamental pillars of India's national security strategy, decisive retaliation, which ensures that any act of terrorism will be met with a strong and resolute response. He stressed India will retaliate on its own terms, targeting terror hubs at their roots. He reaffirmed India's firm stance, stating that terror and talks cannot coexist, terror and trade cannot run parallel, and blood and water cannot flow simultaneously.
टेरर और टॉक एक साथ नहीं हो सकते। टेरर और ट्रेड एक साथ नहीं चल सकते और पानी और खून भी एक साथ नहीं बह सकता।
In a strong message, Prime Minister Modi asserted that India will not be intimidated by nuclear threats.
कोई भी न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल भारत नहीं सहेगा। न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल की आड़ में पनप रहे आतंकी ठिकानों पर भारत सटीक और निर्णायक प्रहार करेगा।
In his message to the global community, the Prime Minister reiterated that any dialogue with Pakistan would be confined to the issue of terrorism and will center around Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The Prime Minister asserted that peace must be backed by strength and when required, that strength must be used decisively. He stated that recent events have demonstrated India's resolve in safeguarding its principles. While concluding his address, the Prime Minister saluted the valor of the Indian Armed Forces and expressed his deep respect for the courage and unity of the people of India. Bureau Report, DD India.
Prime Minister Modi visited the Adampur Air Base in Punjab earlier today. DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us now with more details. Akshay, given the recent escalations, a Prime Minister's visit to the Adampur Air Base assumes great importance. Take us through the details.
Well, Shubhendu, you're absolutely right that this visit by the Prime Minister is significant, but it has multiple domains to why this is important. Now, first would be that Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself has gone to an airbase that was destroyed according to Pakistani claims and propaganda. So Prime Minister has busted that very propaganda in the face of Pakistan that this is an airbase that you have been claiming to have destroyed. So here I am right now myself in this airbase, so your propaganda is not going to work. That is one. But even more important than that is to boost the morale of our armed forces, our men and women in uniform who have been like a strong wall between the adversary, their attacks and nefarious agenda, and the people of the country who had a slight to none inconvenience even in the state of heightened hostilities where Pakistan has been launching some of the advanced drones that it has in numbers such as 300 to 400 per night aimed across several Indian cities that are spread across the western and the northern borders. So that is the most important message, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has himself gone and has spoken with the soldiers that are there on the air bases that are on the front line. So that is one. The second would be about the propaganda that we just spoke about, and the third is also to ensure that there is sort of a trust among the Indian armed forces in their indigenous weapon systems, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also instilled that faith once again as far as Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of indigenization is concerned.
Right.
So that also has been a crucial point where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has gone to a frontline base and has showed the world that this much trust he has in our indigenous weapon systems and defensive systems.
That's right, Akshay. Also, Prime Minister's visit, an important acknowledgement of the stellar role played by India's air warriors in particular and soldiers in Operation Sindoor.
Well, yes, they have put their life in line as far as the country is concerned and the adversary. They have become like a shield for the country. They became the weapon and the shield both at the same time. When it comes to the air defense system, they protected us. When it comes to our aerial warfare, our attacks against the installations inside Pakistan and terror hideouts, they were destroyed. So in a way, the Indian Air Force has taken the front line as far as these offensive capabilities are concerned. So that has given a strong message. There is a saying in Hindi that goes goes on to say daat khatte karna dushman ke, which means that giving a blow to the enemy in the face of these threats and these attacks. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi has established once again that the air warriors who have given their everything to protect the country are honored. The gratitude that the whole country has been showed to the air warriors in Adampur base and to all of the air warriors across the country by Prime Minister going to a frontline base. So that is the kind of trust that he has instilled in the country, that see, I am the Prime Minister, I am going to a frontline base. This much trust I have on our weapon systems, on our defensive system. So people do not have to worry about the soldiers, their family members don't have to worry about, because your Prime Minister is himself going to the front lines, and he has a trust in India's defensive and offensive capabilities in the face of adversity.
Akshay, thank you for those updates. And to take forward the conversation on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the nation, last evening, joining me is retired Vice Admiral Anup Singh, defence expert. Good afternoon and welcome, Admiral Singh. Let me first talk about Prime Minister's address. He makes it clear that Operation Sindur has drawn new red lines. Act of terror will be equivalent to act of war from now on.
That's right. Thank you for having me on your show.
Sir.
He's absolutely right. I think from the very first speech that he gave in Bihar till now, all actions have been exactly as they should have been. And hereafter, things with Pakistan will be entirely on a different plane.
And sir, for long, Pakistan has hidden behind the nuclear blackmail, but that will not deter India from carrying out precision strikes. Prime Minister making that clear. How significant is that statement according to you?
It is most significant. I think this nation is large enough, strong enough, and has no comparison to a small country like Pakistan, particularly a country which does not have any values attached to its nation. We have proved it this time, once and for all, that this nuclear saber rattling has no meaning insofar as India is concerned. It doesn't matter if the two nations have nuclear power, have nuclear weapons. And therefore, they must have learnt a very big lesson that despite saber rattling this time, India did not bother, did not drag its feet when it came to a conventional war under nuclear overhead. They cannot afford to put their finger on the trigger. They know there will be nothing left of Pakistan, because our nuclear doctrine is very, very clear. Massive retaliation and a punishment from which they'll never wake up.
Right. Admiral Singh, also in the context of India's defence preparedness, Operation Sindur has also proved India's capability in new age warfare, capability of made in India weapons. That's something that Prime Minister underlines in his address, in both offence as well as defence.
Absolutely. And we should start saying that hereafter the norm will be offensive defence. But the point that you raised is very pertinent. There is so much that is of indigenization and self-reliance that has set in on our defense forces and their weapon systems, that hereafter in situations of crisis we will not have to bother as much as we did in previous years. There is no doubt the road ahead is going to be very challenging. There is a lot more that needs to be indigenized, particularly in weapon systems and in propulsion systems. But we are going to catch up. We are certainly going to catch up in the next 20 to 25 years.
Admiral Singh, also you mentioned about future. The terms of engagement with Pakistan in future are also something that Prime Minister hinted in his address to the nation. Terror and talks will not go together. Blood and water will not flow together. Terror and trade will not go together. How do you see this broad spectrum of pointers that Prime Minister mentioned vis-a-vis the manner in which we're going to engage with the neighbour?
This is the best paradigm that has been defined. And they better learn. You know, we used to talk of the Indus Water Treaty as soft power. No more. This has been proven this time, it is hard power. If they do not understand this time, they are going to be up the gum tree. It's not going to be easy, because the pressure from the population and the national economy is going to really bear them down.
On that note, Admiral Anup Singh, thank you for joining us in the News Hour, sharing your perspective. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Jammu and Kashmir police releases photos of 3 suspects of Pahalgam attack. Air travel across India faces major disruptions amid growing security concerns. And Central Board of Secondary Education declares results of Class 12th and 10th board exams.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Indian Army today eliminated 3 hardcore terrorists during search and destroy Operation Keller in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir. In a tweet, Indian Army says, and I quote, on 13th May 2025, based on specific intelligence of Rashtriya Rifles Unit about presence of terrorists in general area Shokil Keller, Shopian, Indian Army launched a search and destroy operation. During the operation, terrorists opened heavy fire and fierce firefight ensued, which resulted in elimination of 3 hardcore terrorists. Operation is in progress. And DD India correspondent Vishal Barasto joins us live from Srinagar. Vishal, what details can you share with us on this operation?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Shubhendu. The operation has been on since morning, and what we heard from our sources, now confirmed by the army, that Rashtriya Rifles, which is the infantry unit regiment of the Indian Army, had a special intel about these 3 terrorists, out of which one is said to be of foreign origin, and he is all the 3 have been neutralized by our Rashtriya Rifle that belongs to the Indian Army, and the operation is still on. So the Indian Army, apart from taking care of our borders, has to also take care of the terrorists here in Kashmir, and it is an ongoing operation. Remember, the search and cordoning of operation is on, and it has been going on ever since the Pahalgam attack. So we have to be always on the vigil. There has been a joint operation of the Jammu and Kashmir Police, of the Rashtriya Rifles, and the Special Investigating Team of Jammu and Kashmir, in coordination with Indian Army, is holding these search operations. And because of these search operations, there are a lot of information which is trickling in on specific intel. These 3 terrorists have been neutralized.
Also, Vishal, the search for the Pahalgam terror attack perpetrators has intensified. The security forces have put up a poster. So, if I understand, 3 Pakistani terrorists. There's also a bounty of rupees 20 lakhs. What details would you have?
Well, certainly the posters have been pasted all over the place, and police and the intelligence force agencies they are on the lookout, and a reward has also been announced. But we have to wait for some more time, because a definite, a precise intel is what the intelligence agencies are expecting, because it's been 20 odd days now, and we are still on the lookout of those 3 people. The sketches were released long back, but let me tell you that they were trained terrorists, and it is not easy. They might have mixed with the local tourists, they might have sneaked in, they might have sneaked out. We have to wait for an official confirmation and the details. But as of now, these 3 terrorists have been killed and neutralized rather. And also a lot of overground workers who have been supporting the terror network within the Union territory and across the border, it is also being verified, checked, and interrogation is still on.
Vishal, thank you for joining us with those updates. Meanwhile, the borders along the northern and western front of India remained relatively calm. After days of air sirens and blackouts, a semblance of normalcy was observed in border areas, with markets teeming with people. Across Kashmir Valley, markets opened and traffic returned to its normal level, with no shelling being reported. People in Punjab's border areas feel relieved as tensions ease. Markets are also opening and locals hope for peace to continue. And those are some visuals of normalcy slowly returning to the border areas of India, which have seen much of military action and escalation in the past few days. After the cessation of military action, normalcy slowly returning to border areas of India. Showing you visuals of Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat, Rajasthan, also Punjab. We'll be cutting across live to our reporters on the ground to get more updates, but those visuals, some semblance of normalcy slowly returning to the border areas of India after cessation of military action as part of Operation Sindur. The borders along northern and western fronts of India remain relatively calm after days of air sirens and blackouts. Those visuals from different towns and cities of India in the border areas. Let's get some updates from the ground as well. DD India correspondents are joining us from the border towns. Ankush Sharma is joining us from Jammu, JNK. Amritpal Singh from Chandigarh, Punjab, and Meghna Deo is joining us from Gujarat. Ankush, if I can come to you first, give us a sense of how normalcy is returning slowly to where you are.
See, the current situation in Jammu and Kashmir is quite normal, and if I talk about the border areas in Jammu and Kashmir and the specially affected areas, the most affected areas are Rajouri, Poonch, the normalcy has completely arrived, and now the situation is fine here. And in border areas, the people are also returning back to their homes, and they are also starting their businesses again. And there is no more panic among people. But yes, there is fake information there, and from yesterday also there are some informations on social media regarding the terrorist activities or drone activities in the region. And to tackle with this fake information, the administration is tirelessly working, and they are continuously asking people to not to give heed to the rumors and just focus on the reliable sources. And if I talk about the schools and colleges, the schools and colleges institutes are also open today in non-border areas, and it is highly expected that today the fresh notification may be arrived, and in this notification maybe the border areas, schools and colleges will also be allowed to open. On the other hand, the situation is completely normal in Jammu and Kashmir and the border areas, and we spoke with some people, some individuals in Jammu region also. They have said that the life is back on the track again, and on the other hand, the misinformation is one of the major issue in Jammu and Kashmir right now to tackle with it.
Right, Ankush, stay with us. Amrit, let me come to you. You're in Chandigarh, Punjab. Give us a sense of how life is coming back to normal in Punjab. Just a few days ago, Chandigarh was also one of the potential targets of Pakistani drones.
That's right. Chandigarh is right next on the door of Chandi Mandir, which is the Western Command headquarters. And also we have a transport hub airbase here, which drones tried to attack, but they were neutralized. So there was, the schools were shut down here in Chandigarh as well. But schools have opened up here. Many areas of Punjab, schools and colleges are slowly opening up, except for a few border areas where schools are still shut or educational institutions are still shut. There are blackouts imposed during night for a few hours. Especially when reports come in of some drone activity, blackouts are imposed, markets are shut down, but overall life is limping back during the day. markets are teeming with people, so life is limping back to normalcy. District administration is working along with the village committees to ensure that there is no panic in people, and telling them that as a measure of abundant precaution, schools and educational institutions are shut down, but they will open as things improve. They are urging people not to panic, not to believe fake news, because the military action may have stopped from the Pakistani side and also the Indian side, but the information warfare which Pakistan is conducting, as Ankush was saying. So the propaganda factory is still on. The idea is to create panic amongst people, but there are counter measures being taken, and the fake news is being busted. So counter IW is on the Indian side as well. Shobhendu?
Right. Meghna, let me come to you. Meghna is joining us from the western state of Gujarat. She's in Bhuj, as I understand. Meghna, the military action may have ceded for now. What kind of preparedness is being maintained, and how are people coping with the aftermath of the last few days and nights of action?
Yes, to begin with, Shubhendu would like to tell you that normalcy definitely is seen on the streets in Bhuj. Not only when we are talking about the city of Bhuj, but entire Kutch district. We have Gandhidham, we have Nakhatrana, we have a number of cities here and adjoining villages where a lot of action was seen in the past few days. When we talk about Sir Creek or Nalia or Lakpat for that matter, things are getting back to normal. Clearly, villagers also, the few people who had moved to other villages are now going back to their homes. What we also see, economic activity resuming back with ports working now. Kandla Mundra port, one of the biggest ports and actually one of the important hubs for economic activity in Gujarat, have started functioning, and now we can see heavy vehicles plying on the highways, which were actually the number of vehicles and the number of activity did reduce in the past few days, but now it's slowly coming back and gradually coming back to normal. While the Bhuj airport is functional, but flights have been cancelled from and to Bhuj, but we can expect that within 24 hours there will be an announcement that can be made that the flight services have resumed. For example, Air India did also announce that they are cancelling flights to and from Bhuj. So in 24 hours from now we can expect that they will resume their operations here. Besides, what we can see, obviously school and colleges in Gujarat have summer vacations, so schools and colleges anyways were closed, but the past few days we did see businesses were shut, shops were closed, and there was no major business that was happening in the city, in commercial complexes and other places. But now we can see that shops have opened. Also we went to some of the villages near Bhuj, wherein they had also closed their shops, but now those shops are also open. Handicrafts, handloom shops are now also open. Though this is not a very peak time for tourism in Kutch, because generally Kutch witnesses good tourism, good footfall of tourism from November to February. But since it is summer vacation, people like to travel. They come to Kutch as well, visit Smriti One, which is the earthquake memorial, and Dholavira for that matter, which is one of the heritage sites. So having all of this in mind, keeping all of this in mind, we can see things coming back to normal. Though there is a lot of vigilance that is there along the border and also along the coastline when we're talking about Jamnagar and Porbandar areas. But when we're actually talking about land borders, Kutch, Banaskantha, Patan, these districts, there are no advisory for citizens, but there is only one advisory, that drones cannot fly in events and functions till 15th of May, and firecrackers cannot be busted till 15th of May. Other than that, there are no such advisories for civilians as of now.
Okay, Meghna, Ankush, Amritpal, thank you very much for joining us with those updates. And we continue to get updates from the ground. Let's go across to our correspondent from another state that shares boundaries with Pakistan, Rajasthan. Lakshya Arya is joining us from Jaisalmer. Lakshya, take us through the signs of normalcy that you see around you.
Absolutely, as you can see behind me, there's a free movement of vehicles. So, new normalcy has restored right in Jaisalmer and other border districts of Rajasthan. Absolutely, Jaisalmer is well known for its tourist places, and tourism is again welcoming its tourists and local tourism as well. Right here in Jaisalmer, many of the new advisories has been issued. So there's a free movement of the vehicles, there's a free movement of people. Schools and education institutions are open right in Jaisalmer as well as in Jodhpur and Barmer. So as today the schools opened, there was a sight of happiness on the face of children and students. After these days, the students get back to their school, they got back to their classes. Apart from that, the 32 airports, which was included in the notice of India. So right, Bikaner, along with the airport, has been included in the 32 airports. Alongside, people right here are quite happy as their shops and establishments are allowed to open in the Jaisalmer as well as in the Jodhpur and the Bardmer. So, the precautionary measures, UP administration is taking many precautionary measures and instructing the people to follow the measures. But right in Jaisalmer, there is a new normalcy. People are enjoying the new normalcy again. The markets are open. Alongside, most importantly, as some restrictions which were put on the daily routine has been lifted off. As of now, some of the restrictions has been maintained, like you cannot supply drones in the border districts. Along with that, firecrackers has been prohibited, and along with that, some of the measures has been kept. So, with the safety measures, with all of the measures, with the steps to keep in mind for the people's safety, the normalcy has returned and restored in the border districts of the Rajasthan.
Lakshay, thank you for those updates. Meanwhile, in a nationwide outreach effort, 11-day-long Tiranga Yatra began today to honor the courage and sacrifice of India's armed forces, particularly in the light of recently concluded and successful Operation Sindur. The initiative aims to connect citizens across communities and regions, emphasizing a message of patriotism, national solidarity and respect for the tricolour.
हमारे देश की अखंडता का प्रतीक है तिरंगा, जो हमारी राष्ट्रीय ध्वज है, इसके नीचे हम सभी जाति धर्म के लोग रहते हैं और इस तिरंगा की रक्षा के लिए हम सब मिलकर लड़े हैं। और आज हमारे देश में संकट आया है, एक आतंकवादी हमारे देश में जाति के नाम पे जो हमला किया है, ये हमारे हिंदू मुस्लिम भाईचारे को तोड़ने की बहुत बड़ा साजिश है। इसको नाकाम करना बहुत जरूरी था, इसलिए तिरंगा यात्रा हम शहर में निकाले हैं कि हम इस देश के शहरी हैं और इस देश के लिए हम मर मिटने के लिए तैयार हैं।
ये दिनों आतंकवादी घटनाएं हुई थी और जिसमें 27 लोगों का निधन हुआ था, हत्या की गई थी, धर्म पूछ करके मारा गया था। उसके बदले में जो भारतीय सेना द्वारा ऑपरेशन सिंदूर चलाते हुए पाकिस्तान में घुस करके जितने भी आतंकवादी ठिकाने थे उसको नष्ट किया गया। तो उनके शौर्य के सम्मान में आज ये और अखंड भारत का निर्माण कराने की मांग को लेकर के ये हमारी अखंड भारत तिरंगा रैली का आयोजन किया गया था।
Tiranga Yatra is expected to help foster deeper connection between citizens and armed forces, reinforcing Prime Minister Modi's government's message of decisive leadership and national security. Moving on, air travel across India is facing significant disruptions tonight as leading airlines, including Air India, Indigo, have cancelled numerous flights in response to growing security concerns. Both airlines have suspended operations to key northern and western cities such as Leh, Jodhpur, Amritsar, Bhuj, Jamnagar, Chandigarh and Rajkot. Air India announced the cancellation of the flights to and from several destinations, citing the evolving security landscape. Indigo quickly followed suit, prioritizing passenger safety and adhering to official recommendations. Passengers are advised to stay updated on travel advisories from their airlines and airports. And DD India correspondent Tapush Bhattacharya joins us from New Delhi on the phone line with more on this. Tapush, what is the latest on the air travel disruptions and advisories?
Right, so Indigo and India both have issued advisories, especially places like Chandigarh, Leh, Srinagar, Rajkot. These are the places that Indigo has sent us for the 13th. The flights were cancelled, but they are now resuming. They're slowly getting back, on the work, and we believe that in today or tomorrow we will have another round of advisory that will be able to clear the air. But SpiceJet has given a go ahead. SpiceJet is not going ahead with cancellation. Although some reports have come that some of the routes in some areas have been affected by that. But right now we are still awaiting a major detail on that part. But as I mentioned, Indigo has said that, and also Air India has come out with their advisory for the same. Air India has said that in view of the latest developments, again, Jammu, Leh, but they have added Jodhpur, Amritsar, Bhuj, Jamnagar, Chandigarh and Rajkot. These are the areas where the flights to and fro from were cancelled on for 13th. They are monitoring the situation. They have also given helpline, and so as other airlines operations. So if you are moving to any of these areas, especially the northwest and north and the western sector of the country, be careful. Get in touch with your airlines operators and see whether the flights are still there or not, and if the flights are cancelled, try to get a refund from them, because they are giving numbers to that you can call and get the refunds. But also we believe that by 14th, by today evening, we will be getting some more inputs on advisory whether they are continuing with stopping the operation in these sectors or they are resuming. Other parts of the country, the flight operation has resumed without much of a problem. But these are some of the areas which are currently the cause of concern for the airlines operators.
Okay, Tapas, thank you for those inputs. Air travelers are advised to in fact stay updated vis-a-vis advisories coming in from the airlines and airports. On to some other stories now. The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, has declared results of Class 12th board exams. The overall pass percentage of this year is 88.39%, which is 0.41% higher than previous year. Boys registered a pass percentage of 85.70%. However, girls again outshine boys by a margin of 5.94%, as over 91% of girls have passed the exams. The Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, also declared the results of Class 10th board exams. Overall, 93.60% of students passed the board exams, with passing percentage increasing by 0.06% since last year. Girls outshine boys by over 2.37% points, as 95% girls have passed this exam. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated students of Class 12th and 10th for clearing their CBSE exams. In his message on X, he says, and I quote, "Dear exam warriors, heartiest congratulations to everyone who has cleared the CBSE Class 12th and 10th examinations. This is the outcome of your determination, discipline and hard work. Today is also a day to acknowledge the role played by parents, teachers and all others who have contributed to this feat. Wishing exam warriors great success in all opportunities that lie ahead. To those who feel slightly dejected at their scores, I want to tell them one exam can never define you. Your journey is much bigger and your strengths go far beyond the mark sheet. Stay confident, stay curious, because great things await." Unquote. And we're heading for a short break. There's more coming up.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. US President Donald Trump is visiting Saudi Arabia, starting what he describes as a historic tour of the Gulf nations. As President Trump embarks on his visit that began with Saudi Arabia, followed by Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, It aims to blend urgent diplomatic efforts with major commercial deals across defense, energy and technology. High on the agenda are talks on the escalating Gaza crisis and growing tensions with Iran. Trump is expected to push for stronger regional cooperation to counter Iran's influence and seek solutions to the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The tour also serves as a platform to finalize significant business agreements, potentially worth billions of dollars. Upon arrival in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh, US President Trump was greeted by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The two leaders, Donald Trump and Mohammed bin Salman, sat down for an initial meeting at the King Khalid Airport in Riyadh, next to the portraits of members of Saudi royal family. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio was also present at the meeting. With this Gulf tour, President Donald Trump marks the first major diplomatic trip of his second term. Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander has been reunited with his family in Israel after being held captive by Hamas in Gaza for 19 months. He was one of the several hostages released after talks with international mediators. Alexander was freed during a brief pause in fighting in Gaza. His return brings hope during the ongoing conflict.
Eden Alexander, an Israeli-American hostage, has been reunited with his family after being held by Hamas for months on Tuesday. The 21-year-old had been serving in the Israeli army on the border of Gaza when he was captured by Hamas on 7th October 2023. Alexander was the last living hostage in Gaza with American citizenship. He is also the first hostage to be freed by Hamas since Israel restarted its military offensive on 18th March after a 2-month ceasefire came to an end. Hailing the return of US-Israeli captive, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said it was a very emotional moment. Netanyahu thanked the diplomatic efforts of US President Donald Trump and stated Israel's military pressure and Trump's political pressure were a winning formula.
This is a very emotional moment. Eden Alexander has returned home. We embrace him and his family. This was achieved thanks to our military pressure and the diplomatic pressure exerted by President Trump. This combination is a winning formula. I spoke today with President Trump. He told me I'm committed to Israel. I'm committed to continuing to work in close coordination with you to achieve all our war objectives, to release all the hostages and to defeat Hamas. These goals go hand in hand. They are interconnected.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the release of Eden Alexander. The UN chief, in a statement read by US spokesperson, called for an immediate permanent ceasefire and unconditional release of all remaining hostages.
The Secretary General is profoundly relieved that Mr. Alexander has been freed and is now returning to his family after this harrowing ordeal. The Secretary General renews his urgent call for an immediate permanent ceasefire and an immediate and unconditional release of all remaining hostages. Hostages must be treated humanely and with dignity. He calls on all parties to immediately ensure the rapid, the unhindered, and the safe humanitarian relief, including the delivery of critical services for all civilians in need. Aid in Gaza and anywhere around the world is not negotiable.
The return of Eden Alexander was celebrated in his hometown in US. Alexander, who is now 21, grew up in New Jersey before moving to Israel, where he was serving in the Israeli army. Alexander was abducted in October 2023 and spent 584 days in captivity before being freed and returned to Israel. Bureau Report, TD India.
What a relief. Global markets, including US stocks, surged today after the announcement by US and China of an agreement to reduce their reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. The agreement has reignited investor appetite for stocks and commodities, unleashing a 3.3% rally on Wall Street the previous day. Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 2.81%, S&P 500 rose 3.26%, while Nasdaq rose 4.35%. Earlier, in a joint agreement, the United States agreed to lower their tariffs from 145% to 30%, while China's retaliatory tariffs on US goods will drop to 10% from 125%. US President Donald Trump expressed confidence and said he doesn't see US tariffs on China imports rising back to 145%. Meanwhile, Trump has said that he expects to speak to China's President Xi Jinping at the end of the week after an agreement to reduce tit-for-tat tariffs.
The talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest. And they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing.
In some other updates from United States, a group of 49 white South Africans arrived in the United States on Monday after being granted refugee status under controversial policy introduced by US President Donald Trump. The chartered flight from Johannesburg landed at Washington, marking the first formal arrival of white South Africans admitted on claims of racial persecution. The individuals were accepted under Trump-era directive that prioritized white South African applicants while severely restricting refugee admissions from predominantly non-white countries. Treating white South Africans as refugees fleeing oppression has drawn a mixture of alarm and ridicule by South African authorities, who say the Trump administration has waded into a domestic issue it does not understand. Moving on now, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been sworn in for the second term following sweeping electoral victory that delivered the largest centre-left Labour government since Australia's federation in 1901. Post his win on Tuesday, Albanese credited the win to voter frustration over global instability, including fallout from President Donald Trump's policies. Labour secured at least 92 of 150 seats in the House of Representatives, with the final results still pending. Key cabinet roles such as Treasurer, Defence, Foreign Affairs remain unchanged, while new appointments include Michelle Rowland as the Attorney General and Tanya Pils-Pasek as the Social Services Minister. The opposition Liberal Party elected Susan Ley as the first female leader after losing heavily in urban areas to climate and equality-focused independence. Albanese is scheduled to visit Indonesia and attend the inauguration mass of Pope Leo XIV in Rome, where he will meet global leaders to discuss trade and economic ties. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Australia announced 15-man squad for the World Test Championship final against South Africa at Lord's next month. Carlo Ancelotti will take charge of Brazil's football team after leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season. And Sri Lankans celebrate Vesak Day with dazzling lights and lavish feasts.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Some news coming in from Germany. New figures show that foreign direct investments into the country fell for the third consecutive year last year in 2024. Joining me for more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Chiponda, can you break down the numbers for us?
Thanks for having me. Well, the figure for greenfield projects was 2% lower last year than in 2023, and that is according to Germany Trade and Invest. And the amount invested, 23.2 billion euros, was also lower than in 2023 and the year before that. Now, despite that, investment volumes remained relatively high and are still above pre-COVID levels, and that is largely due to some big ticket projects. That includes investments by Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, and Apple, which all invested more than €1 billion last year. Now, these tech giants were also the main reason why the United States remains the leading source of foreign direct investment in Germany. But despite last year's decent figures, there are some concerns about Germany's competitiveness.
What are the main concerns around these numbers?
Germany is the only G7 economy that failed to grow over the last 2 years, and it is on track to stagnate this year as well. Now, the main challenges that Europe's biggest economy faces are aging, underinvestment, and too much bureaucracy, according to the International Monetary Fund. And businesses, too, are concerned about all of this. A recent survey by the IFO Institute shows that more companies reported seeing a decline in Germany's international competitiveness. And right now, Germany isn't only facing structural economic challenges, it also has to deal with the effect of the Trump administration's reciprocal tariffs. A slowdown in global trade spells trouble for Europe's biggest economy because it is export-driven, and Germany's industry, which has been its backbone, is especially vulnerable. Now, the IFO Institute shows that the auto industry and the mechanical engineering industry, which play a big role here, have all suffered setbacks in terms of competitiveness.
And Chiponda, given the numbers, how does the new government plan to fix the economy?
Well, one thing that the new government has going for it that the old one didn't is the room to maneuver when it comes to public spending. Now, Berlin has an additional 500 billion euros in credit-financed funds, and that will be available for investments in infrastructure and climate protection over the next 12 years. And there are pretty much no limits on defense spending. But while that is expected to provide some relief and potentially boost the German economy, there are still some concerns. The defense and construction industries are swamped with orders. Investing more money in those areas could also raise prices and fuel inflation. And interest on government loans are expected to increase tremendously over the coming years. And of course, the biggest challenge is Germany having an aging society with fewer younger people. There are fewer workers, and that, of course, could hurt Germany's productivity. Now, the new government is facing multiple challenges economically, and it is under pressure to deliver visible results because of the popularity of the far-right AfD. So it does, of course, have its work cut out.
Chiponda, thank you for joining us with those updates from Berlin. Time now for all the action from the world of sports. Let's talk about cricket. Captain Pat Cummins, quick bowler Josh Hazlewood and all-rounder Cameron Green were named in Australia's 15-man squad for the World Test Championship finals against South Africa at the Lords from 11th to 15th of June this year. Cummins and Hazlewood missed Australia's most recent Test series in Sri Lanka because of injury, but both have successfully returned to action in the Indian Premier League, IPL. Green returns to the squad for the first time since undergoing back surgery in October last year. Exciting 19-year-old batsman Sam Constas also gets the nod. He is in line to open alongside Usman Khawaja. Football. Brazilian Football Association announced on Monday that Carlo Ancelotti will take charge of Brazil men's national team after leaving Real Madrid at the end of the season. Ancelotti, who is the most successful manager of Madrid, having won 15 titles, has enjoyed 4 hugely successful years in his second tenure at the Spanish Giants, but they are set to finish the season without the trophy. At Brazil, he will lead the side in the FIFA World Cup 2026 if it qualifies, and his first matches in charge would be World Cup qualifiers against Ecuador and Paraguay next month. Ancelotti is the first foreigner to become Brazil's head coach and replaces Dorival Jr., who held the job for about 14 months before he was sacked in March following 4-1 defeat at Argentina. Across Sri Lanka, streets, temples come alive in the blaze of colour and light as millions of Sri Lankans mark the Vesak Day, the most sacred day in the Buddhist calendar. The day commemorates the birth, enlightenment and passing of Lord Buddha. Temples overflowed with devotees offering flowers, lighting oil lamps and engaging in prayer and meditation. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get all the latest news and updates on our mobile app as well. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screens and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.